want to talk Manchester United, Dharmesh, now. We know they're looking to add to the squad, but if they do that, are they going to be dipping into the bargain bucket?
It's potentially the case. It could be, I don't know, Manchester United fans probably won't want to hear this, but it could be a quiet window with regard to incomings. And one of the big issues that is prevalent for every single club, it seems, at the moment, particularly in a January transfer window, is those three letters, FFP. And those restrictions and having to comply with financial fair play regulations could mean that Manchester United might have to go into the loan market if they go into the market at all. If you go back to last January, they had to do that very thing because the previous summer they'd spent big and they brought in Wout Weghorst and Marcel Sabitzer on loan. Even at the end of the summer's transfer window, when the bulk of the money was spent on the likes of Mason Mount and Andre Onana, towards the end of the window, they still wanted to strengthen. The likes of Sofian Amrabat came in, Sergio Reguilon came in. Both of those were on loan. And Altay Bayindir, the goalkeeper, came in as backup to Andre Onana, and he only cost £5 million. So that will give you some sort of idea where United are with regard how much they can spend. But it won't stop them keeping their eyes open in the market. And I think a striker is a potential position that they might want to strengthen, simply because I don't think the aim at the start of the summer was to bring in Rasmus Højlund and get him to shoulder the responsibility, which is effectively what has happened. I think they would have wanted to bring in someone with a little bit more experience. One of the names being mentioned that we mentioned back in November as United having an interest in is RB Leipzig's former Chelsea striker, Timo Werner.
Really? Timo Werner?
Now, I'm told at the moment that one, and I'll quote, is not hot at the moment. But
so what does that mean, Dharmesh?
There was
at the moment.
At the moment, listen, the January transfer window is quite famous for teams changing their minds and developing what their recruitment policy is going to be as the window develops. So you could have a situation where in the first 2 weeks, no, we're fine. We don't need to bring anyone in. And then an injury, a loss of form, that can change the mind of a recruitment team, of a manager, and suddenly somebody can come in. And that's what tends to happen in a January window as well, because you see some of these deals happening really, really late. That's not a coincidence. But at the moment, it's not hot. He's only played 4 times for RB Leipzig, started 4 times this season. But if you look at it from Werner's perspective, I think a lot of criticism was aimed at him for his spell at Chelsea. He won the Champions League with them, of course, but it just didn't work out for him. I wonder whether in his mind, he's got a case of unfinished business in the Premier League to try and show a few people, actually, I am a good player. I want to show you what I can do. Another player that Manchester United have been linked with is the Bayern Munich striker, Eric Choupo-Moting, once of Stoke City, of course. His opportunities have been limited because someone called Harry Kane has joined Bayern Munich and he's doing quite well there at the moment. He is approaching the final 6 months of his contract. So there's a situation there that Bayern Munich might want to do business. But as it stands at the moment, I think the noises are coming more from Germany and maybe Choupo-Moting's camp rather than Manchester United trying to pursue a deal for him.
OK, that's fascinating. Tim, Dharmesh is saying that United will be looking at loan deals. Which other Premier League sides are going to be counting the pennies?
I think most of the Premier League clubs, it's where we're at the moment. A lot of clubs spent big in the summer. FFP is an issue at the top. It's an issue for clubs at the bottom as well. So I think Arsenal, for example, a club that spent big on the likes of Declan Rice, I think they might look to strengthen, but they might have to work within certain constraints. And we might see, I think, some loan signings in this window, and even down at the bottom of the table, some of the teams that are fighting to stay up, they're also working within strict financial constraints. But as we know in the January transfer window, one deal can trigger another deal, another deal and another deal. So at the moment, we're waiting for that trigger point, that first big deal that maybe gets things moving, gets the ball rolling.
All right, let's talk about the deal then, Dharmesh, Sheth. Jadon Sancho, any closer than yesterday to going to Borussia Dortmund again?
It looks that way. I'm told that talks between Borussia Dortmund and Manchester United are progressing in a positive fashion over that 6-month loan deal that will see Jadon Sancho return to Borussia Dortmund, who of course sold him to Manchester United just a couple of seasons ago for £73 million. I think Borussia Dortmund want to get this deal done very quickly because they're going to have warm weather training in Marbella next week, and they want Jadon Sancho to be part of that warm weather training. At the moment, the talks between the clubs, we think, are centred on a potential loan fee and the salary situation. He went from Borussia Dortmund, he was on good money at Borussia Dortmund, but he would have, been on really, really good money at Manchester United. It's whether Borussia Dortmund can cover all of those wages or whether there can be a package that can be put together whereby a loan fee and the salary are covered to a certain extent by Borussia Dortmund. Our colleague Florian Plettenberg at Sky in Germany, who's covering the German end of this deal, he says that the talks are under discussion over a €3.5 million package that would see Jadon Sancho go from Dortmund to Manchester United. It looks like if this deal can happen, it might be a good one for all parties because Ten Hag and Sancho, there's no sign of a reconciliation there as it stands. Jadon Sancho isn't playing. He hasn't played for the best part of 4 months. The last game he played, I think, was the 3-2 victory, came off the bench against Nottingham Forest. That was way back on August the 26th. And then a week later, in the Arsenal game, that's when everything came to a head. But the timing was so bad for United, 2 days after the window had actually closed. So he's just going to be kicking his heels at United's training ground away from the first team. So we think that they want to accelerate that deal now, Borussia Dortmund, but it could work for everyone because if he performs well and goes to Dortmund, he will then come back to United with still time left on his contract, 2 years plus an option of a further year, but his valuation will be a lot higher than it is now because it's anyone's guess what his valuation is just at this moment in time.
Dharmesh says it works for everyone. Do you agree?
It does. It works for Manchester United, an unhappy player. They move him out. It certainly works for Jadon Sancho. He needs to play football. Let's not forget, he was part of Gareth Southgate's plans at the last Euros, and he's faded out of the England setup. He's not playing for Manchester United. I think Dortmund is a home for him. He was comfortable there before he produced his best football there, and it's a chance for him to maybe rebuild his career, rebuild his reputation, show everybody what he's all about. And for Dortmund, they're not having a great season, so I think it works for them as well. So it seems to suit all parties, and when it suits all parties, usually those are the deals that get done.